Hello, my reflective parents. Today is a different kind of day. I usually post on Mondays, but being Mother's Day today and hearing the conversations that I heard this week and seeing the posts that I saw online, I thought that we can have an honest conversation and reflection all about mothers and Mother's Day today. But this is not just for mothers. This is for all parents. It's a reflection about what it means to be a parent and a reflection around reminding ourselves that our needs still matter and that we have to communicate our needs both to ourselves and the ones around us. And so today is a solo episode, and I encourage you to take a moment and listen to it. It's going to be short because it's Mother's Day and I'm going to head back to my beautiful day today. But I wanted to sit here and have this conversation with you before our day moved forward. If you are new here at the Reflective Parenting Podcast, welcome. My name is Cindy Hovington. I'm a mom of 3 from Montreal, Canada, and I have a Ph.D. in neuroscience. My goal through Curious Neuron, which is the company that I'm the founder of, and this podcast, the Reflective Parenting Podcast, is to change things up a little bit when it comes to parenting. There are so many resources out there that offer us parenting advice, but very few that allow us to just sit with us ourselves and help us address our needs, specifically our emotional needs. I hear from parents all the time that are stuck in this cycle of yelling and screaming and feeling like they're not the parent they thought they would be, when in the end, it's because we haven't worked on a certain set of skills, emotion regulation skills, which are part of the part of the larger theme of emotional intelligence. If I were to ask you, how would you score yourself on emotional intelligence? Because the word intelligence is there, I feel that often we're like, well, I'm not dumb, I'm not stupid, right? It becomes our immediate thought. But when it comes to emotional intelligence, there are 4 domains. There's self-awareness, self-regulation, there's social interactions, and then there's the conflict or the relationship management. All 4 of these domains influence how well we know ourselves in different situations and know what we can or can't do and how well we interact with others. And so if we step back and we actually look at the relationship we have with ourselves and the relationship we have with others around us, and we are honest in terms of how we would score it, if we're scoring it 7 and under, there's room for improvement when it comes to emotional intelligence. And I think that's what happens as a parent. We have this new child, person, this new human in our lives, 1, maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 4. And we haven't taken the time to build and nurture this relationship because we're so busy parenting them and making sure they stay alive and that they're healthy and that they're fed. And we forget about everything else that is so important in helping us build that relationship. Similarly to our partners, I think that we spend a lot of time before we have kids nurturing that relationship, hopefully, and then we have kids and sometimes that relationship goes to the side. And lastly, it's the same thing with the relationship we have with ourselves. I've spoken to countless parents, specifically moms, that tell me that once they become a parent, they feel like they've lost their identity. They feel like their purpose has shifted, but the main purpose that they had before in life, which is sometimes the career that they really enjoyed, feels gone or feels smaller. And now they don't know who they are and what they're supposed to do and how to fit all of this within who they are. And so I really encourage you, if you are somebody who can relate to any of these things that I just said, to follow the the Reflective Parenting Podcast, because it was called the Curious Neuron Podcast before, or to visit our website, curiousneuron.com, or to follow us on social media, curious_neuron on Instagram, or Curious Neuron on Facebook. There's even a Facebook page called The Reflective Parent. I have been switching a lot of our content towards reflective parenting or becoming a reflective parent intentionally, because I do believe that we don't need anyone else giving us advice in terms of what to say, what to do. But what we do need support in is building our confidence and feeling competent as a parent. And that is what this platform is all about. And the work that I do is at the core of the mission. All right, so yesterday I posted on Instagram a poll question, and I was curious to see what or how moms felt about Mother's Day, because this past week I had a few conversations with moms that felt they often were disappointed. And I sat back and reflected on the results of this poll and the conversations that I had, and this was stuck in my head this past day. And I just felt that we needed to have an honest conversation about Mother's Day. I know that Mother's Day is hard for some parents. Maybe you have lost your mom, and so you cannot celebrate her in the way that you wish or wanted to. Maybe you had a complicated relationship with your mom. Maybe your mom was not present. And so there are many people that share with me that this is not a time to celebrate, even if they themselves are a mom now. And I want to acknowledge that. It means that this day is not an easy one as you watch other people celebrate. Then there are other people who absolutely love Mother's Day, and they are celebrated, and they love the cards they get from their kids and the special moments that they have with their family and their kids. And that's great too. But it isn't an easy celebration or an easy day for many. This includes Father's Day too. And so I wanted us to sit back and I wanted us to think about what we need today. And that is going to be the whole conversation. I'm going to keep it short, I promise. I just want us to take a moment to sit back and reflect, because by the time I publish this, half the day on Sunday will be gone. And so it gives you half another day, half of the other part of the day in order to address your needs. And so when I asked parents on social media if they looked forward to or enjoyed Mother's Day, over 50% of them said that they often felt disappointed. 30% said that it depended on the day, and the rest it depended on the year. So some years were great, some years were not. And the rest said that they enjoyed Mother's Day. If you are somebody listening to this saying, I don't particularly enjoy it, and you can relate to these stats, I'm curious to know why. What has led to Mother's Day being something that you don't look forward to? And how can we switch that? And I think it's something that we can learn in many parts of our days. Our needs matter. And I'm so grateful that I have 3 kids. They're ages 5, 7, and 9. And what I've learned from my kids is that, well, first of all, somebody who's listening to this who knows me knows that I very easily put my own needs to the side. And so I'm not saying this in a way that I've mastered this my whole life. I'm humbly saying this knowing that I struggle with this as well. But I learned about it, and it's in my consciousness. And I want to share this with you because I don't want you to end up in the same boat. When we become a parent, sometimes we think that our needs no longer matter, or that there's just no time for our needs because we have kids to attend to, we have a partner, we have a relationship that we have to nurture, and we come in last. I've heard this from countless parents, countless moms. And I'm here today to remind you that your needs not only matter, they should actually be placed first. And that's not selfish. So obviously, if your needs are to step away every day and not be home, that is different. But we forget that there are very small needs that regulate our nervous system, that make us feel safe and calm and soothed on our own, that would actually make us, or will actually make us, a better parent for our kids and a better partner. If your needs are to pause for a moment and stop all the chaos, the sounds, the screaming, the crying, what can you ask your partner for help with? If your partner doesn't understand how important that is for you, take the time to explain it over and over and over again. If your partner doesn't hear you, take the time to repeat it and have them listen to this audio, have them listen to this podcast with you. And their needs matter too. How can you sit together as a couple, as partners who are parenting these children, and remind each other how important your needs are and that you both have needs? If you constantly are helping others with their needs and not putting yours up on that list, then it becomes really hard to regulate yourself in a moment of dysregulation or chaos with your kids or with your partner, with your boss. You don't feel seen. You don't feel heard. You don't feel validated in the work that you are doing. It doesn't take much for us to feel validated. If our partner says to us, I can see you had a hard day. And by the way, when it comes to validation, I interviewed a researcher who studies validation. That interview will be coming up in a couple of weeks. So make sure that you are subscribed to the podcast so that you don't miss it. But how can we do little things, little moments in our days that address our needs? Having a conversation with a friend, that friend that just helps you feel so good and makes you laugh. Can you make that part of your week? Can you take 5 minutes to say, hey, what time works for you during the week? What about like 4 p.m. on Thursday afternoons? All I want is like 5 to 10 minutes of your time to just like unwind and make me laugh. And I want to make you laugh and hear about your week. Maybe it's 15 minutes, right? But how do you create this sort of life and build a life where your needs matter? And the reason why I'm saying this is because as I was looking at the responses that moms were giving me in terms of why they didn't enjoy Mother's Day, it's because of unmet expectations. So they often had expectations that a certain day would be prepared for them, that their partner would take over the day and do something really special for them. I'm not saying that that isn't valid, but if we step back and we create expectations for, and we've reflected, so if you are a member of the Reflective Parent Club, you know that we had a specific week where we focused on this. Actually, we broke this down into unmet expectations for our kids that we have, but also for our partners and for ourselves. We have reflection prompts inside the Reflective Parent Club. If you're not a member, you can click the link in the show notes and learn more. The Reflective Parent Club is all about supporting you and learning what dysregulates you and what regulates you, and how you can support your child in learning emotion regulation skills. This is not your typical parenting platform. This is truly a science-based course that covers emotional intelligence. And you get to see me every single week for 1 hour where you can talk about something that happened to you. We give everybody a moment to say, hey, this dysregulated me this week. Here's what I want to share. And maybe you can gain some insight or a new perspective or a tool that you can apply next time. That is what it's all about, learning how to regulate ourselves and our kids. And so these unmet expectations that we have, I find dysregulate us in a way that many of us are not aware of. So if I wake up and my expectation is that breakfast will be made for me, somebody will have made a nice coffee for me, and it's not made, it's instantly a moment of dysregulation. It really is. Because you're like, really? You didn't make me a coffee? And now your tone changes. The words you use change. Your facial reactions change. The energy changes. And your energy can be very different when you're dysregulated. Some people feel dysregulated and have high energy, where they're explosive and they might say something or snap. Some people are dysregulated with low energy. They shut down. And so your kids might say, hey, mom, are you okay? I'm fine. And you're not talking anymore, but you are in your head. You're definitely talking in your head and you're pissed off. And you're saying, why the hell couldn't they just make me a coffee on Mother's Day? Instead, why can't we shift this to speaking up more about our needs? Why can't we communicate our needs and feel heard and feel seen and say, hey guys, you know what I really want today? I want somebody to make me a coffee. Or do you know what I really want today for Mother's Day? I'd love to not wash any dishes. Or I'd love to go for a walk with everybody. I don't want anything big. I just really want to go for a long walk in the forest, in the woods, or outside, around our block, somewhere. I just want to spend time with you guys without having to think about anything that has to be done in the home. I want to disconnect from the home. Maybe that's what you want. Or maybe you have small kids and there isn't a moment of downtime and you need to not think for half an hour. Can you ask your partner and say, hey, you know what I really need today? I really need a moment to just go grab a coffee for half an hour, bring my book with me and read, or journal. I'm going to grab my journal. I'm part of the Reflective Parent Club. And I just want to grab my journal and go journal away from the kids, because I know that when I do that here, they come see me every 2 seconds. There's always something that they need, a diaper that needs to be changed, a toddler that's upset. I just need half an hour. That's all I want. Or maybe an hour, whatever it is. Why can't we express our needs? And as I was flipping through all of the comments, all I kept thinking about was people, moms, us, not expressing our needs, not saying, hey, this is what I need today. How do we make it happen? Or having these expectations, again, that are not communicated. And so when I think of that last domain, that fourth domain of emotional intelligence, coming back to relationship management, not conflict, but communication is huge. If I keep something in my head, how am I supposed to expect somebody else to know what I'm thinking? But we do that. We do that very often. We do it so often that we don't realize the moments that we do it. We think that people, our partners, our kids, our bosses, our colleagues, our family members, we think that they know what we're thinking, but they're not. And in fact, last month when we had a Zoom call with the kids, so inside the Reflective Parent Club, we meet with the children every single month and we have like a little activity for them. And last month, what I did was I had the kids guess like what number I was thinking. And they couldn't guess it. They had to, obviously I did it on purpose to have like a complicated number. And obviously at some point one child guessed it. But I said, are you able to see what's going on inside my head? And they were giggling and they said, well, no, we can't see what's going on inside your head. I said, it's like that for all of us. And I said, when you are feeling sad or you're feeling frustrated or mad or even disappointed, any emotion, when you share it with somebody, you get it out. You don't want to keep it in. You want to get it out. Maybe you want to draw about it and share it with an adult. Maybe you want to write about it and share it with an adult. But get it out of your head, because when we keep it inside our head, it becomes like a snowball. And what happens if we roll a snowball down a hill? It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And once it gets bigger, we can't control it anymore. And so this is what happens with our emotions. And parents, the story's for you as well. If we keep that thought inside our minds of they should have made me coffee today, or why couldn't they just make me breakfast one day that I wanted to be celebrated? Instead, why can't we anticipate the week before and say, hey guys, I know we're going to be running to my mom's and my in-laws and we're going to have a busy day on Sunday. Let's make Saturday about our family. I'd really like to do this with you guys. I don't know if you had anything planned. And if you didn't, no problem. Although I know deeply inside we're disappointed. And that's okay. We can also be disappointed. But why not say what we want out loud and get used to doing that, not just for Mother's Day, but every week. Every single week, taking a moment, doesn't have to be 3 hours, a moment where we say, I need this right now, and I will not be able to function if I don't have this. And so what's my resource team? Who are my go-to people? Is it that I just need to talk to somebody? I'm going to call a friend or a parent. Maybe you're very close with your parents. Is it that I just need to disconnect? Who can I ask for support around this? I need to disconnect because I am not going to do well. We have a single parent also inside our club, and I know how hard it is. I was raised by a single parent to actually step away. And so how do we create moments of disconnect with our kids around? Screen time, right? Being outdoors or having a play date with another parent. How do we find ways that we allow ourselves to disconnect? But disconnecting, as we learned in a previous episode with a palliative care physician, it's not about just rest, because that is why we come out of moments of rest and feel like we did nothing. It's restoration. When we regulate ourselves and we address our needs, we're not just pausing everything. We are restoring our energy. And there are a few things that restore our energy. Connection with another human, another person is a really, really big one. Connection with ourselves through exercise, through just being alone with our thoughts. Listening to music helps a little bit, obviously, well, with regulation, but it comes to restoring our energy. Maybe music and movement, maybe a certain person that you need to see or speak with. But be aware of what those are and address your needs. And sometimes addressing your needs is not about adding something to your schedule. It's about removing. Take a moment today to look at your week that's coming up, from today all the way to the end of next weekend. Is there something that you can remove from your week? Is there something you can say no to, or you want to say no to? And if you're not saying no, why? Who are you afraid to disappoint? Is it your child? How can you explain to them that you are at low capacity for whatever reason, and you need this moment or this day, or you can't afford energy-wise to do 2 activities in the same day again next Saturday? You need to say no to one of them. Let them choose. And with their disappointment, sit with them. I know it's disappointing. I get it. We'll get back to that. But this week, I really need a moment to pause. I am taking my own advice. I finally have a team right now, and you're going to see some changes. By the way, if you haven't seen the website, curiousneuron.com, I really encourage you to go see it. It's a brand new website. I'd love to know if you enjoy it. You can email me, as always, especially if you leave a rating or a review. Send me an email at info@curiousneuron.com. Send me a screenshot of your review, and I will send you a free PDF called Meltdown Mountain. It is our most popular PDF on our website. And it's a visual that allows your child to understand, I'm at the top of my mountain right now. What are the tools that I use? And so there's the language, it's a PDF, it's a package as well. And so I'll send it to you for free as a thank you for leaving a review for the podcast because of how important it is. If we disappoint our kids, we can think that we're bad parents in that moment, but they have to understand that we have needs. And if we are at zero capacity, our battery is completely drained, and we're saying yes to them just to not say no and disappoint them, I need you to reevaluate that. I need you to rethink what that's going to look like for you in the long run. There's a reason why parents, and so many parents, are stressed out and burnt out. We need to learn to say no, and to see that within that no, there's love for ourselves. And so, my dear parents and my dear moms, happy Mother's Day. I hope that today is a moment where you pause and reflect on what your needs are. What is something that you haven't been asking for or communicating that you need to start communicating? What is a small step that you can take for yourself today to remind yourself that you matter? Your needs matter. Maybe you need to respond to somebody and step up in terms of responding to them. Maybe you've been disrespected by somebody and you need to set a boundary. Maybe you need a moment to yourself. Whatever it is, I encourage you to reflect on it and to think about what the small steps are towards moving forward and addressing and communicating your needs. And if you need a space and a person to help you with that, Curious Neuron and everything we do here at Curious Neuron, including the Reflective Parenting podcast, the Reflective Parent Club, and our social media, is about reminding you just how important you are and that you matter more, even more now that you are a parent. Happy Mother's Day.